In this video on Doodle Sheets, I'm going to show you how to do calculations with Doodle Sheets and cell references. We're going to cover addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and the exponent. We're going to cover how to do cell references, or relative references. We're going to cover how to do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division with cell references, and finally, how to do cell duplication. Let's get started. So I want you to open up the sheet that I have with and open up the calculator tab. In here I have a few different calculations that we're going to practice. First one is we're going to figure out how to do 569 times 2. What you're going to actually have to type in a moment is 569 times 2. Ignore my little typo right there. However, you'll notice when I hit return, it doesn't actually do anything because Doodle doesn't know that this is actually a calculation. It thought we were just entering text. If you wanted to do a calculation, you have to enter the equal sign. This is going to tell Doodle Sheets that we're doing something else and they need to perform calculations. If you hit the equal sign, then I'm going to type 569 and then the multiplier symbol, the asterisk times 2, and it's going to pop up our number, 1138, common Star Wars number there. Let's try another one here. We're going to do an addition one. So I need to do 811 plus 327. Again, if I just type it like this, it's not going to do anything. I need to type it with that equal sign as the preface. Then Doodle Sheets knows we're actually going to be doing a calculation. 811 plus 327, 1138. Let's try a subtraction. 1,559 minus 421. So I'm going to use just a little dash there. Again, it won't do a calculation unless I preface it with the equal sign. It does that. I have another calculation. 7,966 divided by 7. Watch what happens when I hit return here. It thought that I was entering a date. July 1st, 7,966. So it thought I was doing a date. What I need to do there is instead, I'm going to redo this, but I'm going to put a space in between there. Then it will start treating it like text. Again, you can avoid all these problems if you just put that equal sign in front of there. Then Google will ignore all those spaces and just treat it like a calculator function. All these numbers, add up to 1,138. Let's try an exponent here. 1138 to the third power. Well, what I'm going to need to do is the 1138 and then that little symbol there, the caret, which is found above your number key 6, and then 3. Again, this won't actually do a calculation unless I put the equal sign in front of it, but when I do so, bam, now I've performed a calculation with that. That equal sign tells us that we're going to perform a calculation. Let's go over to the temperature conversion sheet here. We're going to convert from Fahrenheit, what we use here in America, to Celsius. What makes more sense for the rest of the world? By the way, nice little Celsius wrap. 30 is hot, 20 is nice, 10 is cool, 0 is ice. So let's take what we were just working on with calculations and convert it now to references. So let's start right here. I need to convert the temperature in Fahrenheit into Celsius. So what I'm going to need to do is first hit the equal sign because I'm going to perform a calculations here. I'm going to be using this top one right here. I need to figure out what the temperature is in Celsius. So it's going to be 5/9 times the quantity temperature in Fahrenheit minus 32 degrees. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go up into my calculation, I'm going to hit equal sign, and then I'm going to do 5/9, so 5 divided by 9, and I need to use the multiplier symbol there. You're probably used to from your math class not needing to. If you put two parentheses next to each other, you need to do it here. So 5/9 times 100 minus 32, and that's going to give me 37.8. But the problem is with this is a hard-coded formula that will never change. I want to make this into a dynamic formula that will change with that number. So I'm going to change that 100, I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to instead put a reference to a cell. I'm going to put a reference to A5. That is column A, 5th row down. So now I'm doing a reference to A5 minus 32. When I do that and I hit return, it's going to perform the calculation just like I did before. Only now, if that number in this cell were to ever change, this would reflect that. Let's try another one here. I'm going to do 5/9 times, and then I'm going to do this particular cell right here. And a fast way to do it is just click on it. If you're doing a calculation, it knows anything you click on is going to convert that into a cell reference. A6 minus 32. I hit that, and it's going to give me another one. There's an even faster way. Let's try it again with this one here. I'm going to hit the equal sign, 5/9 times, and now I'm just going to use the arrow key. If I just hit the left arrow key, it's going to take whatever cell you're at and jump immediately to the left and use that as the reference. So that's going to be, and I can move that up and down and it will change, but I want to do A7 minus 32, close out my parentheses, and it is completed there. Now, there's a faster way. You have to learn the slow way before the fast way actually makes sense, but let me show you a faster way. You'll notice as I highlight each cell, there's a little blue square that appears in the bottom right. Well, if I move that down to my last one in my particular calculation and drag that down, it's going to take that formula, I just need to fix the border, and it's going to actually carry it down. So now each one of these is going to be just reflected. So this one was referencing A5, this one will reference A6, A7, A8. It's going to automatically drag down that calculation to adjust with it. Let's try another one down here. So I'm going to try my temperature in Fahrenheit, converting it from Celsius. So this one, a slightly different calculation. You can do the algebra if you want, but I need to hit the equal sign, and I'm going to do 9 divided by 5, and I have to do it with that multiplier symbol there. Now I'm going to do B14 as my reference. I just clicked there, and I'm going to add 32 to that, and that's going to give me 212. Watch what happens if I go into this formula and I remove that little multiplier in between there. So if I go in there and I delete it, it's going to say formula parse error. So you necessarily have to have the multiplier in between there so it knows what calculation to perform with those two numbers. Now, faster way, I can drag it all the way down, fix my border. And the nice thing is about setting it up like this, hey, there's 98.6, which is exactly 37 Celsius. Each one of these references has been fully adjusted. So we're referencing the next one. The nice thing about this is watch what happens. When I change that temperature there, it's going to reflect on that one. Let's change it to minus 273, negative 459. I could even do crazy numbers on there. I could do like 5 million degrees Celsius. It's going to convert it there. That's why we like to use Google Sheets. It's dynamic. It will change as the cells change. Let's try another one here. We're going to convert the weight in pounds and ounces into kilograms. Now, ounces here in America, there are 16 ounces in a pound. This is the weight of my daughter when she was born, 7 pounds, 5 ounces. I'm going to convert that 5 ounces into a decimal. So what I need to do for that is I need to take this number, B2, divided by 16. So it's going to give me 0.3125. Now for this next one here, 7 pounds, 2 ounces, the weight of my son, the 2 ounces works out to be 0.125 pounds. So what I could do is I could double click it and pull it down, or I could drag it down there, and both of those are going to accomplish the same thing. In the end, I've taken my original data and I've converted it into a decimal format. And what I need to do is I need to add together A2 and C2. And I just did that with my arrow keys. And now it's going to be adding together this column plus that column here, and it gives me 7.3125. I double click on that and it's going to drag the entire thing down. Now what I need to do is convert that into kilograms. 1 pound is 0.453592 kilograms. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make another reference. I'm going to do it's equal to D2 times 0.453592. Hit return, and it's now converted 7 pounds 5 ounces into kilograms. When I want to carry that down, double click, and we'll do so. By the way, 7 pounds 8 ounces, average baby weight, heaviest baby ever, 22 pounds 8 ounces. On behalf of that poor, poor mother, ouch. So easy to convert with cell references and calculations. Let's look at the Amazon cart that we've been looking at before, and let's build that one from scratch. So here I have my items, here I have the price, and here I have the number of items, but I want to get the unit total here. So what I need to do is I need to take the price and multiply it by the number of units. $99.88 times 1, that one's pretty easy. I'm going to do that for the next one down here. But you'll see if I just double click and carry it down, I have carried down the calculation, but it also essentially carried down the entire format of the cell. So I have all this junk right here. There's ways you could clean it up, there's ways you could fix it. For me, the easiest way is just repeat the calculation one more time. So that's going to be B3 times C3. If I carry this one down, it doesn't have any borders that will mess up with my formatting. So now I've completed that. If I was to change this from 2 items to 3 items, that will reflect that as necessary. Last thing that I need to do is calculate the tax. So the tax is going to be whatever the tax rate is, which I have in that particular column, times the unit total. So that's going to be $99.88 with a 5.5% tax rate. I'm paying $5.49 on that particular one. Again, I'm going to repeat the same thing I did before, otherwise it will carry the borders with it. Double click on that, and it carries all my calculations down. So now I've built all of that into here. That's how you're able to make that. Clicking and dragging or double clicking is a way to take one calculation, which you set up very carefully, and carry it down across all of the different columns. One thing that I want to show you, cell duplication, is an underused little trick that you can use. Right now I have this cell here, I have the equal sign, so I'm doing a calculation, but there's not much to it. It just says it's equal to H8. Well, H8 is this tax right here. Every single one of these cells is actually set up to be equal to that particular cell right here. That way I can make one change to this, and each and every one of those is going to change to reflect that. So let's change it from 5.5% to 5.6. I do that, and now this change is reflected because all of these cells have been set up to be exactly equal to this one. So that's a nice way, instead of having to retype this each time, I could all have them reference that particular cell. That's cell duplication. Another way you could use this is almost as a way of copying things. We've talked a little bit before about how you could copy formulas and copy formats and all that stuff here. Now if I do a cell duplication, I've set this cell to be equal to that one. And the reason that this is better than just a basic copy is that it's going to reflect any changes. So now I've essentially copied this entire section down here to down there. That's not much different than a copy and paste, with the exception that this is now forever linked to that. Any changes that I make here, let's change that from times 2 to times 3, is going to be reflected down here. Change that to times 4, that's going to be reflected down here. It's like copy and paste, but even a little bit more powerful because it's dynamic and will always update.